Hello everyone, my name is Apple Guy, and today I'm going to tell you how I play Wynncraft. By that I mean I'm going to get into what launcher I used, the mod loader I used, and disclose my mod list for the very first time in quite a while. This is going to teach you sort of how to play Wynncraft the way I play Wynncraft, the way you've seen me play it in my videos. I will not be doing a tutorial as far as how to install these mods. But if you want to see one of those, make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. It should be pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go into a bit of detail on all aspects of how to get this running. But if you need specific help, either leave me a comment asking a question or let me know that you'd like to see a tutorial. And while you're down there, consider giving this video a like. Thank you all so much for your support on my Wynncraft series, especially on Season 2, our very recent return to the server. I appreciate your enthusiasm a lot. Without any further ado though, let's get into how I play Wynncraft. So the first thing you want to know about how I play Wynncraft is that I launch it through the Modrinth launcher. Now the Modrinth launcher is an alternative Minecraft launcher that's basically serves the same purpose as something like Multi-MC, where you can have multiple instances of Minecraft in separate folders. Now the reason why I use Modrinth over something like Multi-MC or the default launcher, especially the default launcher, is bad. The default launcher for Minecraft is slow, and the fact that you can only have like one set of mods installed is a shame. So for example, if you want to have like Minecraft 1.20.4 mods installed, and then you also want to have a 1.9 mod pack that you play with your friends, you can't have both of those installed on the default Minecraft launcher. Using Modrinth, you get the ability to have a separate folder for every installation. So I, for example, have a 1.20.4 mod pack that I use just for playing survival mode, which just has some like vanilla tweaks. And then I also have a 1.20.2 instance of Minecraft that I use to load Wynncraft. So I'd recommend at least checking out the Modrinth launcher. Additionally, it has one-click mod installation, which is absolutely huge. Modrinth has sort of taken over in the Minecraft sphere as the place to host mods, and so having the ability to access all of Modrinth's catalog just by clicking an instant download button is huge. Instead of having to download it off of something like Google Chrome and then drag the installation into your mods folder, it does it automatically. And so I highly recommend Modrinth. It's faster. You get those one-click mod installations as well as one-click updates, and you get separate folders for each installation. Now, I don't think every mod on my list is on Modrinth. I think one of them is hosted on its own website, and so you'll have to update and drag in that mod. But having one out of just like 30 mods that you have to manually update is super efficient. So I would highly recommend you check out the Modrinth launcher. As for the mod loader that I use, if you're unfamiliar with mods, essentially you need to have a mod loader, which serves as sort of like the engine to get the mods running, and then you can just add mods on top of that. I use Fabric 1.20.2. Fabric is sort of taken over as the more modern version of the Minecraft mod loader. Previously, it's been Forge, and I see a lot of Forge mods that still change a lot of things in the game as far as like adding, you know, new blocks, new dimensions, new mobs. But since we're pretty much just adding things on top of base game Minecraft, and a lot of the modifications to the game happens on Wynncraft's side, as far as getting, you know, the spells and whatnot. Fabric is the way to go in my mind. It's lighter, so your computer, even if you don't have a great computer, should be able to run it pretty efficiently. And all these mods are, of course, compatible with Fabric, and I haven't really had any mods that I wish were compatible with Fabric that haven't been so far. Like I said, it's really taking over, and so I think a lot of mods will be moving over to Fabric if they haven't already moved. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I'm going to name every single mod that I use, and I'll give a little explanation as to why I use it, what it does for the game. If you want to check any of these mods out individually, I'll have links in the description to mod pages as well as the names. If you're curious just to get all those links and see those mods, you can just head into the description now. But if you're curious about why I have each one installed, I'll go through and explain it. Fair warning, some of them I don't actually know what they do, or if they do what they say they do very well. Tailor this mod pack to your own experience. If you want to have my experience, then you can of course copy it directly. If your computer is a little stronger or a little weaker, you know, change up the mods as you see fit. Let's get into the list though. The first mod I have is 3D skin layers. This is a cosmetic mod that makes it so that your hat layer, your sleeves layer, things of that on your Minecraft skin or anyone else's Minecraft skin appears 3D instead of just as floating pixels. This mod is purely cosmetic. It's something I installed to help sort of differentiate the game from normal Minecraft. That's a common theme you'll see in this pack is if I have a mod, it's pretty much either a performance-based mod, an aesthetic mod, or just something that I think pushes Wynncraft further from being just Minecraft, which is my goal for when I play Wynncraft. I want to feel like I'm playing Wynncraft the game and not the Minecraft server Wynncraft. So a lot of the mods will just sort of differentiate Minecraft from Wynncraft. Ambient sounds is the next mod, which adds some ambient sounds, things like birds, chirping, bugs making noises, wind whistling through the trees and the leaves and whatnot. Just sort of makes the world feel a little more alive, sort of takes out a lot of the dead air that you wouldn't expect in a living, breathing, dynamic world like Wynncraft is. And so having, birds chirp as you're wandering through Nivla Woods is just something I really appreciate. And so that's why I have the ambient sounds mod installed. The next mod is Athena. Athena is, I believe, a mod just required to have connected textures, which comes in from a mod later down the list. This is where we sort of get into some of the muddy mods where I'm like, I have it. I think it's a requirement for something else. I don't know. I just have it and my mod pack works. So Athena, I believe, is a required mod for something else later down the road that allows you to have connected textures. So if you place, 4 diorite blocks together, instead of having harsh lines between them, they'll all mesh together. Again, just sort of makes the world seem a little more seamless. The next mod is the Better Sodium Video Settings button, or BSV-SB. I just don't like the Sodium menu. Sodium is a mod I will talk about later in the video, and it changes the way you display your video settings. And I just prefer the Minecraft default, so I have this mod installed to show the Minecraft default. The next mod is the Bobby mod, which allows more chunks to be loaded in multiplayer. Essentially, it expands the scale of the world. And in a world like Wynncraft, this big world with all sorts of excellent builds and towns and things you want to see, I think it's cool to have control over how much of that you see. And so the Bobby mod loads these chunks client-side as opposed to having them hosted on the server, and allows you to expand your render distance essentially. So I have it installed, and if you ever notice why I can see more than perhaps you might be able to see on Wynncraft, it's because of the Bobby mod. Next up is the Cloth Config API, which is a required core mod. These are mods that just sort of drive other aspects of the mod pack. They just allow another mod to work. I don't know what they do really behind the scenes, but there's a handful of those. For example, Creative Core, the next mod, is also a required core mod, and you just have it so that another mod works. If you install a different mod, it'll usually give you an error saying that it needs the core mod, and so you'll install this as well. It's a dependency, so you want to make sure you have all your core mods installed as well. Next up is Entity Culling, which I believe is a lag reduction thing. It makes all the mobs that are behind you, to my knowledge, not rendered to your game, so it can use less resources on rendering things that you don't see. Not sure if that even works in multiplayer. The one thing about Modrinth, the ability to just click install on any mod, is you don't, well, at least I don't do a lot of research. I'm just like, that looks cool, click, and I install it. So entity culling may be cool, may not be useful, I don't know, but I have it installed. Next up is Fabric API, again, a required core mod, as well as Fabric Language Kotlin, a required core mod. Those two, as I mentioned earlier, just sort of drive the rest of the mods in the pack. Falling Leaves is the next mod. Just as the name implies, it makes it so that leaf blocks can have little particles fall down. It's purely aesthetic. Like with the ambient sounds mod, I think it just builds some cool immersion just to be walking around and having something be moving, add some dynamic life breathing into the world. And I really appreciate that, trying to, of course, stick with that theme of differentiating Minecraft the game from Wynncraft the game. Anything that makes Minecraft feel less like Minecraft is really good for helping Wynncraft feel unique. Next up is Ferrite Core, again, a required core mod. Indium is the next mod, which is a sodium add-on. Truthfully, I don't really know what this does. I think it's just good to have. It might help something, and so I added it. If you know more about Indium than I do, please feel free to tell me in the comment section down below. I remember reading the page on Modrinth to try and learn about it, and I didn't learn enough. So it's a sodium add-on. I like the sodium mod. I like the sodium developer. And so I added Indium. Iris Shaders is the next mod. This is the shaders mod that Fabric has. So in Optifine, for example, if you load up an Optifine profile, you can have the shaders mod installed. This is Iris Shaders, which accomplishes the same task of being able to hold a shader pack up to your game. Shaders, of course, are what makes the water ripple, the shadows appear, the sun have, dynamic rays and whatnot. It really just increases the graphical fidelity of the game. And for something with a goal like I have of differentiating Minecraft from Wynncraft, Iris Shaders and my shader pack that I chose, which I'll talk about closer to the end of the video, they just really help. If you watch my Wynncraft video and wonder why it looks so good, Iris Shaders is really the meat and potatoes of that. That's something you notice immediately. Even my thumbnails are made using the Iris Shaders mod. Next up is a mod called Lazy DFU, which I think speeds up the loading of your game. And when you have a lot of mods, sometimes you'll click the play button and then you'll want to get up and go get a soda pop or make a sandwich or something because it'll take forever to load. Lazy DFU might help with that. I don't know, but I have it installed. Lithium is the next mod. I have in my notes that it is general game speed up and optimization, which are things that sound great. Who wouldn't want optimizations in their game? And so I've installed Lithium. It's in sort of, in my mind, the same wheelhouse as like Sodium. I think Lithium is like used for speedrunning. Next up is Memory Leak Fix, which is self-explanatory-ish. It fixes a memory leak, I guess. I don't really know the inner workings of it. A memory leak is essentially when a program uses some of your RAM and then doesn't give that RAM back to your computer, essentially. It just kind of hoards it. And so over time, you'll just clog up your RAM with these processes until you, of course, you restart your computer or close the program. But it might just store unnecessary things in your RAM. And so if there's a fix for it, sure, I'll install it. Why not? Up next is Mod Menu. This is a really, really important mod I think you should have if you're building any Fabric mod pack. It allows you to easily organize and edit configs for your mods in-game, which is super helpful because most mods have config files, and those config files are usually just long text files that you have to figure out what you want, right? So for example, if you want to turn on, maybe the mod has a feature called like subscribe to Apple Guy. In the text file, it'll say subscribe to Apple Guy, usually true or false or 1 or 0. And that can be kind of hard for people without coding knowledge to understand or even to find if the text file is really large. And so Mod Menu has the ability to edit configs for most mods built in. And so you'll just click on the mod and you'll be given a UI that'll allow you to edit things as you see fit through the Minecraft menus, which are a little easier to understand. Next up is another questionable mod. I really don't know what it does. It's a mod called Modern Fix. I have in my notes that it generally optimizes the game. I also have in my notes IDK if it works. It's one of those mods that I saw and clicked, and so sure, let's do it. Next up is Noxesium, which I have in my notes as FPS improvement on large servers with custom models. I believe this is a mod made by the Nox crew for the MCC Island server, which of course has a lot of custom models and is a fairly large server. But you know what else is a fairly large server with a lot of custom models? Wynncraft. The most recent mod I installed is the physics mod, which if you have seen my recent Wynncraft videos, anything in season 2, when I slay a mob, you know, it'll have like a ragdoll drop that we can like kick around the like legs and stuff with. It also adds some 3D effects when you're running. It kicks up 3D block particles instead of those 2D ones. Generally just makes the game feel less Minecrafty. I think it adds some nice little flair, nice little aesthetics. There's also a whole lot you can do, I think, on the single player side of the physics mod, but because I'm playing on a multiplayer server, it just adds a couple of aesthetic things. Mostly the ragdolls is the significant one that you'll see in my videos. The next mod is Presence Footsteps, which I really like. It adds unique footstep sounds for different blocks. Really just helps the game feel less generic. And so, you know, if you're walking on grass, you'll really understand you're walking on grass. I really appreciate that. You know, Minecraft uses a handful of footstep sounds, but Presence Footsteps adds more, and they can feel a little more accurate to what you'd think a footstep would sound like. In crowded areas, it can be a little loud, but in general, it's a good way to just build up the world and make the game feel less like Minecraft. Here we are now onto a critical mod. I highly recommend you install Sodium, no matter what mod pack you're building. If you're building on Fabric, install Sodium. It is a general performance buff. You can think of it sort of like the Optifine equivalent, or the Fabric equivalent of Optifine, but I think it does even better than Optifine. Sodium is a huge performance buff. Highly recommend it. It's a mod that is used in speedruns, so there's a version of it used in speedruns. It's totally allowed. It doesn't do anything strange. It just makes your game better. 6 mods to go. Here we are on the Visuality mod, which adds some small effects that spice up your game. This is essentially accomplishes a lot of what physics accomplishes, the physics mod. And so, you know, if I go and I, for example, swing my sword at a villager, it'll like have emerald particles fly off. Or if I slay a slime, it'll have like slime particles fall off. The physics mod does this as well, usually with 3D objects instead of the Visuality 2D textures. And so if you aren't able to run the physics mod, maybe your PC is not super powerful, consider using Visuality instead. I use both of them. I don't know if you can even tell half the time because I think the physics mod kind of overtakes the Visuality particles. But I like particles. I like seeing things dynamically affect when I hit them. I like seeing things react to that, whether that be leaving a ragdoll or, you know, having a little flare of texture pop off. All right, this is a mod that you definitely need if you're going to be playing Wynncraft. This is the Voices of Wynn mod. I was very reluctant to use Voices of Wynn for the longest time because I liked making silly, goofy voices up for the characters. But Voices of Wynn is a community-led project that seeks to add voice acting to every NPC in Wynncraft. The quest NPCs are the priority right now, but I think I read on their website that they're trying to voice everything at some point. Regardless, voice acting for the quests, it's great. If you don't like reading the quest dialogue yourself, you can have it be read to you through people who have played the game as well. If you are someone who just blazes through the quests to get the XP, I guess don't install it because you'll not want to hear the voices. But I really don't have anything bad to say about Voices of Wynn, besides the fact that it breaks a lot, which I think is Wynncraft's fault. But if you've seen my recent videos on Wynncraft, I think Season 2, Episode 1 has the infamous Sea Skipper, the guy who voices the Sea Skipper just does a really good job. He's really into the role of the Sea Skipper, and he talks a lot, and sometimes he'll talk even if you're not around him. So Voice of Wynn does have some issues. I think that's mostly on Wynncraft's side, like I said, but I'm sure they'll fix them as time goes on. So make sure that's a mod you keep updated, because hopefully they will improve the sort of like detection of when the voice lines should be playing. Wavy Capes is the next mod. This just takes the block capes that are kind of just little, I don't know, poster boards, and makes them have some more curves in them. So when you're running, you know, they can blow in the wind a little bit. Again, this is just something that makes the world a little less stiff, feels a little less Minecrafty, a little more like you're playing a different game. And like I mentioned many times throughout this video, that's my goal when I approach Wynncraft. If you're playing Wynncraft, this mod is huge. Windtills is a massive Wynncraft base overhaul mod that basically gives you so much more customization as far as what your UI should look like. It gives you some hotkeys that are useful. It's really what you would expect from an MMO. A game that is an MMO that has the ability for players to create add-ons of anything. You would see something like Windtills. If you want to play the game and you want to play it at a high level, Windtills gives you that option. Now, if that's intimidating to you, don't worry, it was intimidating to me too. I have most of Windtills turned off. I use, like, for example, the vanilla health bars. I have the minimap turned on. I have like a button for me to mount my horse, but I have most things in Windtills turned off. I'm not someone who's like min-maxing XP or trying to get like the best loot runs or anything. So there are ways you can use Windtills for those like high-end gameplay sort of endeavors. But you can also use it like I use it, very casually. It is a mod that takes a little bit of time to set up and a little bit of time to learn what everything does. And so I would definitely set aside a little bit of time to make that happen. Like I said at the top of the video, if you guys want to see a tutorial on how to get some of these mods set up, Windtills might be one in particular you're curious about. Just make sure to leave a comment asking me to do a tutorial. And if there's a lot of interest, then I can definitely see myself setting up a Wynncraft mod pack on a video tutorial. 2 mods left. One of them does nothing to you, and the other one is pretty much just because I'm a YouTuber. Yet another config lib is a required core mod. It is required for some of the other mods in the pack. I'm not sure which one off the top of my head, but I think it helps one mod appear. So install it if you've installed all the other mods. The last mod is Zoomify, which is the ability to zoom in on things far away. The main purpose that I use for it, I do occasionally zoom in on things that are far away, but it has a secondary zoom option that sort of just slowly pans in. I call it the content zoom. It's bound to my C key on my keyboard, and that's what I use at the start and the ends of the videos when you see like the camera zooming in on my player's face. I use that. And so Zoomify might not be useful for you if you don't particularly care about that content zoom, or if you don't really care about seeing things far away. But ever since I started installing Optifine, I found myself just zooming in on things all the time. And so Zoomify is a fabric mod that allows you to do that zoom. You also have a lot of control. You can scroll in and out on your scroll wheel to increase or decrease the level of zoom. And of course, like I mentioned, the content zoom is just prime. You'll notice it a lot now that I pointed it out. I mean, go to my next Wynncraft video and you'll be able to point out so many times when I use the Zoomify mod. So that is just about all for how to set up the mods and my mod pack here on Wynncraft. I have 2 last things I want to talk about. It is my shader pack and my resource pack. You may not actually know that I even use a resource pack, but that's because it is simply the Quieter Nether pack from Vanilla Tweaks, which is a website that allows you to do all sorts of different resource packs, different subsets. You can build them up together and make your own resource pack that sort of just makes things feel a little more unique to you. I use Quieter Nether, and that's because that Wynncraft's server really loves to use the portal sound, and it's just the loudest thing ever, and it's really hard to balance the audio when that sound is being played so often. And so I installed that to just make that sound less apparent. That was mostly because like Camden sometimes would be too quiet in the videos, and they'd really play like 6 or 7 of those portal sounds back to back, and you couldn't hear what he's saying. So I installed that pretty much out of necessity. If you want that as well, just head over to Vanilla Tweaks and you can download that from, I believe this is a section called Quieter, but I'm not sure. Haven't been on the website in a while. The current shader pack that I use is the complementary shaders. I've used all sorts of shaders throughout my Minecraft career. I've used the Seuss shaders, I've used BSL shaders, and so far I've really liked the complementary shaders. They seem to be adding brand new things all the time. Like I just saw on Twitter, they're adding like colored lights, which is absolutely massive. So complementary shaders is my current go-to. Again, shaders can take a bit of time to set up to learn how to best make it work for your computer, especially if you're also making a video. It's important to make sure that you test your shaders with the video recorder turned on because it'll take up a lot of computer resources. But I'm pretty happy with my current complementary shaders options. And so again, if you guys want to see a tutorial for that, let me know. We can get that set up. But overall, that is pretty much how I play Wynncraft. Those are the mods that I use. They're not super, you know, life-changing. If you combine a lot of them together, you can really make the game feel like it's its own entity. Instead of just playing on a Minecraft server, you're playing Wynncraft, right? And that's the goal with the mod pack. Hopefully you guys think that I accomplished that. If you've seen any of my Wynncraft videos, hopefully it feels like I'm playing a dedicated game instead of just playing a Minecraft server. If you have any feedback, any mods you'd like me to add, or if you know anything about the mods that I kind of brushed over, feel free to leave comments down below. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be all for now. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe, and tell your friends about my channel. If you think they would enjoy it, it means a lot to me when you guys spread my videos around. And I'll catch you guys all back here next time for my next video. Until then, as always, take care.